Got it. Mine's at the top. So I think sometimes, depending on what you're on, it looks a little different. So yay, I'm excited you guys are all here. It is a privilege to get to work with you, and I'm so thankful that you guys have chosen to trust me to kind of walk you through a process that I've been taking myself over the last couple of years. I think I've always been, no, that's not even true. I was going to say I've always been somebody who really enjoyed learning and growing, but I know that's not true. It's really only been in the last few years that I've really dived into taking ownership of my life and stopped kind of blaming everything that was happening around me for what was and wasn't quote unquote good in my life. So it's my pleasure to be able to share this with other people. And I just want to start by saying, and I think you guys all know this about me anyway, I am a person of faith, and when I posted today on Facebook, I'm really excited that my group starts tonight. A dear friend of mine said, you know, as long as God's on your side and you're working for him, everything's going to go great. And she reminded me of that, and I felt just compelled to make sure you guys understood that I do take this coaching business from the perspective that we can take ownership of what we actually have control over. So I love this prayer: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So I want you to know that my coaching focus really comes from a place of recognizing that I'm not actually in charge, that there's a higher power, there is somebody much greater than me who has a much bigger plan, and I don't always know where my piece of the plan fits in the grand scheme. But what I know and what I've learned, what I've come into practice and really become, what I've begun to know with every cell really of my being is that I can be responsible for how I show up and really nothing else. And when we know that, we have a lot more power. And any conflict that shows up in our life or any challenge, whether that's with another person or with an event or a circumstance, we're going to be so much better equipped to move through that, not to get over it. That's one of those phrases I wish people would not say, because I think we're so careless with our words these days, as lots of people in the news media and politics have proven. We're so careless, we say things we don't even mean. And I've become so sensitive to our use of language through this process of taking ownership of my own life, because I started to see where, as soon as I started to take ownership of my own life, it became, interestingly, a lot easier to recognize when other people weren't. And I've had to really watch myself, because whenever we have work to do within or on ourselves, it is always easier to look outside of ourselves and focus on problems outside of ourselves or issues outside of ourselves. And taking ownership of your life is about stopping all of the movement, stopping all of the busyness, and actually getting centered and grounded and taking ownership of exactly where you stand, where you are today. And a very famous gal, her name's Melanie Robbins. She's like famous for, and I say it, but I only like fleetingly know what she's famous for, but it's something to do with this like 5-second get your ass out of bed technique. But I mean, it's basically the whole premise behind her work is just actually recognize where you are and get real with yourself and get up and handle it. It's kind of like, she's really funny because she's kind of a no BS lady, and I feel like I'm pretty forward. She's almost too much for me. So I feel like I'm on the higher end of the Richter scale for energy and forwardness, and she actually surpasses me. So, so if you think I have a big personality, maybe skip her. But to pare it down for you, she really just basically is like, get out of your own way, quit making excuses, and just do it. And it's so easy to say that. And you guys might have seen, I posted on Facebook, it's really easy to go, okay, I'm going to eat less and work out more because I know that's what I'm supposed to do. But am I actually willing to eat less? Am I actually willing to work out more? And like, that's a horrible example for me because I don't work out at all. So that would mean like seriously changing my lifestyle in order to incorporate working out. I should probably do that. We'll come back to that. This is about you guys. But what we're going to spend some time on this week, this 7 days, is really looking at where we're at and which parts we're going to start today with the things that I know you won't do very well on your own, because no one usually does. And what people don't usually do very well on their own is give themselves accolades. And I love accolades. And I just like to say the word accolades. And they're fun and everyone should get them. So the first thing I want to talk about with you guys today is your wins. So I know that it's the mind's nature to remind us of all the ways we've screwed up. And it's the mind's nature to want to protect us from injury and error, because in the mind's primitive brain, that all feels like if you're not winning, you're going to die. Like if you're not safely in your cave, you better be running because there's always something chasing you. Like there's the archaic part of our brain that still likes to flip extreme into survival mode in a non-rational way. And I know that sounds kind of weird the way I've described it, but I don't want to spend the whole night on the theory behind that. So just kind of roll with that and see how that plays out over the next week for you. But it has a lot to do with fear and doubt, and it's really easy. I bet if I actually let you guys, you could think of like 5 ways you totally let yourself down or somebody else in the last year. But I know you guys can do that on your own. So what I want to do here is really talk about your wins. So in the last year, what are some of your wins? And I'm going to tell you, they do not have to be big. We are going to spend the next 6 weeks talking about millimeters of progress. The things that we do that are small behaviors that we do consistently that are going to help us take ownership of our life in more places. Because by no means do I take ownership of every aspect of my life. And to prove it, I'll show you guys my office. There's my desk, and there's my floor. So, I'm not super organized, but I'm passionate about ideas and helping people, and I just can't let my lack of organization stop me from showing up with a great sense of autonomy and ownership and purpose in the parts of my life where I'm already really comfortable doing that. So yay. So recognize that there are probably places where you're like, I so suck. Like you might be somebody who just sucks at getting to bed on time. That's, part of taking ownership of your life might be, okay, if I suck at getting my butt to bed on time to actually rest and rejuvenate my body so I can be a rock star and use my brain at its full capacity the next day, maybe one of my micro habits I want to work on is going to be getting to sleep at a reasonable time. And then if you need help picking that reasonable time, we can talk about that here. This is a great place to bounce those kinds of concepts with each other. Everybody on this webinar is extremely intelligent and extremely talented, and that is how you got here. Okay? So if you know, one of the people in this course wasn't quite sure they were going to participate, and I asked what was holding them back, and they said, well, the things I want to take ownership of might just be a little bit embarrassing to talk about in front of other people. And I went, oh, well, it's okay. You're safe here, because each of the people actually participating in this are some of my favorite people, most trusted friends and colleagues in the entire world. So if there's a safe place to look for feedback, to experience a sense of community, because we need that when we're trying to make change. Like, you can't, if you're, you know, have an alcohol problem, you can't expect to try to pioneer behavior change in that department and get support from the friends who share bar stools with you. So, you know, this is our new flock. This is our new tribe, if you will. This is our community of people who are going to be here to support each other in growth. You're all very talented. You're all very intelligent, and your opinions are all going to matter here. So today I want you guys to start by thinking about those small wins and taking turns first telling me at least one small win that you had this year. And let's just go, just for time's sake, let's just go with one small win from each person and see where we land. So Chris, can we start with you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris. When I look back at the last year, what have I taken a win from? A win has been, for me, realizing it's okay, and I feel good about not working for 5 months. I was unemployed, and it gave me a chance to sit back and relax a little bit and kind of focus on what I want to do, not necessarily today, but tomorrow. And I think that was a win for me, realizing it's okay to not work. And I really felt good about not working, in the sense that I got a chance to rejuvenate myself that I wouldn't have done without accepting that change. And it was really a good opportunity for me to kind of look back now to make a change that's, I don't necessarily push myself towards making the change that I wanted to make, or trying to force an issue, but allowing myself to let the change come to me. Kim's, I've been talking with her, and she helped me realize that why try to force a door open where you may not want, where maybe God doesn't want me to be, but realizing it's okay to let the change come to me, and realizing that it's okay to, and good for me to accept that change, then let God lead me, versus me trying to take control of that. And I've accepted that, and looking forward to what's coming down the road for me, versus trying to make something happen that was not really the thing, probably the most healthy thing for me to do.
That's interesting, Dad, because what I heard you say was your win was learning to accept some things you couldn't change.
Right.
And so now, next step.
I'm looking forward to the change and accepting the things that are coming, versus trying to make things happen, accepting the change that is coming. As that saying right in there on the screen, you know, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I can't change what somebody else wants me to do, or what I want to have happen, or make somebody else change to allow me to do what I want to do. I have to accept the things that are coming, and not try to force an issue. Because sometimes when I force the issue or try to make things happen that isn't really right for me, I get frustrated, and then I end up falling into that why me, or that depression that you can get when you think you're not in control. And when you're not in control, you get frustrated, and I didn't like that feeling, and I had to work through that feeling over the months to realize it's okay to make that, or to accept that I can't change, and to it was a realization that it was for me relaxing and allowed me to accept the things that are coming and not try to force that.
That's awesome. So I'm excited to hear what you decide that you're going to choose to have the courage to change in the next 6 weeks. We're going to come back to that. Miss Brooke, could we hear from you on one of your small wins in the last year? I know you've actually had several, so.
Can you remind me of them?
No, that's your job.
I think probably changing my job to something that I've never done before. I'm completely out of my comfort zone, and I'm figuring out a way to make it work. I guess that's it.
I think that one was a really big win. Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yep.
And I'm excited to hear what you have the courage to change in the next 6 weeks. We'll come back to you for that.
Okay.
Steve, I'm going to unmute you. I would love to hear what are some of your wins, or at least one of your wins from the last year.
One of my big wins is changing my mindset on dieting, which never worked for me. Yo-yo up and down, to living healthy and being able to change the way I think of each. And in living healthy, the benefits of losing weight come along with better health, period. And I've been able to do that, and over the last year or so, I've lost almost 70 pounds. And I'm enjoying my life, and I don't feel like I'm depriving myself of anything. So that's been a win for me as far as mentally being able to change that outlook. And then something I'm working at too, my last vice is smoking. So that's not a little one, that's a big one. But I have 30 more pounds to lose and get off of tobacco. So
okay.
That's my big challenge that I do have control over.
I love that you lost 70 pounds. And when you were describing it, you said that the win was changing your mindset. You didn't say the win was losing 70 pounds. You were like, the win was your brain really owns the behaviors. So that's so exciting. Okay. I love those. Those are awesome. As your friend and peer, I've gotten to watch you through some of that, and that's been really exciting. So awesome. I look forward to hearing what you have the courage to change in the next 6 weeks. We'll come back to that in just a sec. Crystal, tell me what it is that you would consider a win from the last week or so.
Last week?
Oh, I'm sorry, the last year or so. Yeah, if you have one from the last week.
But like the last year. Mine is kind of like Brooke's. I went from a job that I wasn't really appreciated and didn't really, I was just kind of there, and took the leap into a job that I really love, and that it was a big undertaking to change, and I didn't really know if I wanted to full-heartedly, and now that I'm in it, I'm as happy. I'm happier than any job or career I've ever been in.
That's so cool. And I do business with Crystal, and I enjoy coming into where she works. She's always very happy, and it's been fun to work with the organization where she works. They always seem like they're just have so much deep love and respect for each other in that office. It just makes me want to come in even when I don't need to do business. So that's awesome. I'm certainly glad you changed careers, or I don't know if our paths would have collided. So that's exciting. And I look forward to hearing what you have the courage to change over the next 6 weeks. And I'm excited to say I'm going to mute you, Crystal. We have my friend Tara Sorensen, and she's driving. So Tara, I know you're driving, but I can tell you hear us, and you're kind of waving. I can see you. Can you say something so I can see if we have audio and can hear you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Good.
I know you jumped on a little bit late. I'm so excited to hear Tara. Tara and I go back a long ways.
Yeah.
And I think we're like connected through some sisterhood of working moms who needed babysitting trades. And
Yeah, we are.
And we've known each other since I lived on the South Side. And Tara is a mental health worker and a wonderful, bright spirit. Tara, you missed the part where we say a little bit about ourselves, and we were just talking about a big or a small win that we've had in the last year, because I was saying it's really easy to talk about all the places where we've screwed up. And I know I can give you guys that as a homework assignment, but we're not doing that. Let's talk about places we've had a win, whether small or big, in the last year.
I would say like my biggest win is just really opening myself up to really take risk and trust myself, and to stop doubting myself and really trusting the process in that. And I've taken, several leaps in my career, really leaving one place where I thought I would be at forever, and kind of venturing out there and learning in the process at places that I've been. I've worked a couple different places this past year, and just kind of trusting kind of where the universe has taken me, which has been really interesting. Instead of trying to control everything, and just learning from kind of my journey as I've gone this last year. And then also just being more open up to making connections, and then also relationships, like more intimate relationships, which I've kind of pushed those away, but really taken the risk and exploring that more, and my survival patterns around that, and being more open to attracting an intimate relationship that I want to have in the future. So that's another big win.
Tara's mic drop after Tara. Tara had an explosive year of growth, and that she had so much to say because, like me, Tara invested in a training event that required her to travel to a different state, submerge herself in a culture of total strangers, and really get uncomfortable and learn a ton about herself in an environment where she couldn't go home at the end and have a cocktail after the end of the day. And that was kind of what one of my transformational experiences was like too. So I'm really excited, Tara, that you're here. It's awesome to hear about the big wins that you've had in the last year as a result of investing in yourself and your personal growth. Tara, I'm really excited to hear from you in a second or two on something that you choose to have the courage to change in the next 6 weeks. And so we're going to be talking about little things. I'm going to mute you for now, Tara. And in fact, I've got you guys all muted for now, but we're going to be talking about small things, or let's see, achievable, reasonable things that we can actually do and take meaningful action on in the next 6 weeks to actually take ownership of our life. And we're not going to solve, world hunger in the next 6 weeks, but we are going to be able to pick an area of our life that feels kind of out of control or is not how we wish it was, and we're going to take ownership of it. So I still have lots of areas in my life, like, but what's reasonable, like my office or my overall level of organization would be a reasonable area for me to say, I want to take ownership of my level of organization, which is like on a 0 to 10, I'm probably around a 4, 3.5. And what if, in the next 6 weeks, I could take that to a 7, which I'm sure I could. That'd be reasonable. So I want to start, let's go in the same order if we can remember what it was. I'm going to unmute Chris, and I'm going to stop sharing this, and then we can see each other better. Hold on. You guys have a button somewhere on your screen where if you want to look in speaker view, then the speaker is big and everyone else is small. But if you want to look in gallery view, then everybody's about the same size. So that's kind of nice. So let's start with Chris. I unmuted you. And you don't have to know the answer. You can be, your answer can be, I have no idea. Here's an area that feels out of control. And we'll shape it into an area where you can actually take ownership.
Steve spoke of his understanding of how he's been trying to work on his acceptance or his weight. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I have, my eating habits. I've been used to working, and coming home and kind of cooking or making something to eat, and it hasn't really been the healthiest choices that I've been eating. And I've been trying to look at how's the best way to peel 30 pounds off. I'm 5'10" and 230 pounds roughly, and I got, and I'm 60 plus years old. I've got to find a way to bring that weight down to an acceptable number that's both heart healthy and, I got an A1C level of 6.1 today. It's not bad, but it's not good, and I say to myself, what am I going to do to eat healthy and take care of myself? Because you can't take care of anybody else or, without taking care of yourself first. So I have to start realizing that no matter what, I have to look at what I can do for myself and not try to always rely on somebody else to do it for me. I have to take control of that. That's my goal right now, is to try to look at a lifestyle that's more healthy, and I've been trying to do that. But I just need to say that's my goal here for 2018, is take ownership of that and try to make myself a healthier person than what I've been in my life.
So in 2018, you're going to take ownership of your health, and I love that. In the next 6 weeks, what's reasonable? Is there an area, it sounds like nutrition is the component of your health that you want to focus on in the next 6 weeks, because what these guys don't know is that you already have a pretty good routine down for movement. You do aquatics on a regular basis.
Yeah, but then again, I'm kind of worried about that too, going back into a work environment. When I've been off for 5 months, I'm at the gym 4 days a week. So, and I've been enjoying that, and it's been fun, and it's been a social activity as well as an athletic, or just getting myself into the pool for a half hour. But when you step back and you start making that change, going back into a work environment, where am I going to, how to put that all together and get into a healthier eating habits? Because I can see myself going back to work and sliding back into those old routines that aren't healthy. It's you don't give yourself time to prepare a healthy meal, or having the proper breakfast in the morning. I can slide back into that old ways of doing things, and I got to find a way to take control of that will allow me to to be healthier, to live a more healthier life.
So 6 weeks from now, can you think of an example of a habit that would serve you so that 6 weeks from now you can say you've taken ownership of your nutrition?
I say to myself, I was I was brought up, clean your plate. You serve yourself and you clean your plate. It's even like today. I came home. I had made some chicken noodle soup yesterday. I reheated that, and I said I'll have a soup and salad or soup and sandwich. And I probably should have stopped at the first half of the sandwich. And I says, that tasted good. And rather than just wrapping it up and throwing it away, I could have, which I probably should have done. I continued to finish that other half a sandwich that probably really should have been set aside or thrown away. Because you don't get dessert if you don't clean your plate. Not that I'm looking for dessert, but that's how I was raised.
From Pink Floyd, if you guys don't know that. Pretty funny, Dad, because I found myself doing the same thing with a sandwich the other day. Like, it was so good. I was like, I think I'm full, but I'm still going to eat the other half because it's so tasty.
And
then I was like, I hear the thought, and yet I didn't honor what I just acknowledged. So that's an area where I did not take ownership of my life in the realm of health and nutrition, because I heard myself say, well, I'm probably done.
And I did too. I heard myself saying, and I did. I threw the piece of avocado away, but that was all I threw away.
That was the good part. You should have eaten the avocado.
I ate 2 slices and I had a third and I threw that away. I tried to pass it off to my wife, but she had 1 slice left too. So because you can't really save avocado. So once it's cracked open.
Okay. So in summary, the behavior that you're going to put in place so that at the end of 6 weeks, you can say, I've taken ownership of my nutrition, or an aspect of, is going to be what? Just managing your stopping before you're full.
Portion size, and realizing that it's okay I don't have to live to eat. I can eat to live.
Okay, so you're going to be managing your thoughts around food is what you're saying, basically.
Yeah.
So how are you going to track that?
I don't know how I can track it. It's accepting that it's okay. I think the thing is I have to throw some food away every day. Out of my when I put a plate down, I have to say, part of this I'm not going to eat.
Okay.
So I think if I can do that, it would be a step in the right direction to realize that it's okay that I don't have to finish what I have set aside, and maybe cut back on the portions that I'm putting in front of myself.
Okay, so it's pretty hard to measure your success on that kind of statement. So we need to pick something measurable. I'm going to make all of you do this. I know this is painful. We are going to narrow every single one of your ways that I feel out of control down to something that you're going to freaking win at before the next 6 weeks is over, okay?
And the easiest way to measure it is by?
So let me give you a couple examples. You might be able to say, okay, I'm going to start journaling every piece of food or drink that goes in my mouth. Holy cannoli. I'm qualified to review your food journal. You guys, I didn't really, I don't know if Crystal knows. I don't know if Tara knows, but I think the rest of you know. I have a health and PE teaching degree with K-12 teacher certification, and then I went on to teach adults in the health and PE department at MSUB for for exactly 3 semesters. And the first one I was terrible at my job because I was learning how to do it. And then I really enjoyed it, which is why I've continued to be in adult education, really, since I graduated from college in one way or another. So
A
I
food
have
journal.
a ton of training in food journal and looking at for things that are contributing to or getting in the way of weight loss or whatever your fitness and nutrition goals and objectives are. And so this is the place where, and by the way, none of you have paid for this course. You are all doing me a favor by really letting me do this. However, if you apply yourselves, you are going to come out of the end of the 6 weeks feeling so empowered. So if you want that, if you really want to take ownership, I'm going to push you. And I love you, Dad, and that's why this is going to get hard, because I'm going to push you like there isn't the awkward "you're my dad and I'm telling you what to do" thing.
Food journal.
So if you were paying me for services, I'd be saying, okay, I think for the next 6 weeks, it really makes sense to keep a food journal and write down everything you eat and drink. And any thoughts you have that don't make sense to you that you want to discuss, because our thoughts are so pervasive when we make decisions and how we feel. And Steve is also a life coach. He got certified with me, has a bunch of business consulting and coaching experience from the past, is also stellar in sales. Brooke, meet Steve. Steve, meet Brooke. Brooke just switched out of the most non-salesy career into sales, and has her, it's kind of her new journey. So that's why I wanted to introduce you guys to each other. So when you journal, please don't say veg. I ate 2 cups veg. Make sure you actually write down which vegetables and how much. Okay. And it's not meant to be annoying. It's not meant to be a project. But if you're really serious about changing what you're doing, you have to know what you're doing. And I remember being the listener when I was being taught that and thinking, obviously I know what I'm doing. I see the food as it goes in my mouth. Because I was in I already know that land. So be careful. Steve and I have had discussions about this. The words "I know that" are like some of the most dangerous words you can say. I already know that. And those words will keep us from growing if we don't, duct tape our mouth shut, open our minds and go, okay, what is there here for me to pick from? Cherry pick what you need from all of this. Just like AA, take what you want and leave the rest. So when you're journaling, Dad, it might feel like busy work, but it's not, because you cannot manage what you cannot measure. You can't manage your health if you're not measuring your health. And you can't manage your nutrition if you're not measuring your nutrition. So if you wanted to do something like an app on your phone where you food journal, you could do that. If that's repellent to you because you hate technology, you can just write it all down in a notebook. But whatever you do, do the journal. And for the next 6 weeks, I'm your coach. So take advantage of the free coaching and send me your journal every week.
Okay.
All right.
I can do that.
Sweet. Okay.
Do pictures count as sending?
Pictures do count.
Okay. Okay. So if I take a picture of the page and forward it through to you versus typing it.
Okay.
If I send you 7 pictures.
I thought you meant pictures of your food.
No. I'm talking about.
That would be so great.
No, when I journal. So
I thought you were going to give me some artistic photographic journal food choices. I would have liked that.
I send you a picture of the journal, not a picture of my food.
Well, in this day and age, you never know. Okay, who's next? Steve. Okay, I'm going to mute you, Chris. Thank you. And Steve?
My focus over the next 6 weeks is focusing daily on the millimeters of work, of blood, sweat, and tears to better plan and focus on, in that, setting goals that are more realistic with realistic expectations instead of being a dreamer like I am, on something that's achievable and getting there through what you talked about. You cannot manage you can't manage what you can't measure. So going back to a hand journal, morning and evening, and that includes the food journal. So I think that if I can do that, I will be well on my quest to lose my next 30 pounds, which at the 30-pound mark is when I have committed to stop smoking. Versus,
I love it. Okay.
I gained 15 pounds the last time I quit smoking. So now my mindset will be completely different.
That's
What I
cool.
hope to get out of the 6 weeks.
Okay, so how are we going to measure this?
Well, I'm gonna set those realistic goals, and on a daily basis put down what my accomplishments are, and watch myself how specific I get on planning my day. So instead of just putting down a broad goal, I'm gonna put down what I'm gonna do to achieve that goal today, and making sure that I don't have a to-do list that's 79 options long and get mad at myself for not getting all 79 done. So I'm going down to 3 things a day. That's it.
That's awesome. Okay, so you're going to have 3 things a day that you commit to getting done on a daily basis, and you're going to want to look out a week or 2 in advance as you do that, right?
Yes.
So you'll be submitting, if you will, to the group your 3 things that you're, and really not your 3 things, because here, I know you know how this works, but a lot of times the 3 things you need to get done are things that support a bigger agenda. So like, for instance, if you're working on leadership from the heart, which if you're like me, you only work on like the hour before our next thing is due. So, a lot of times the 3 things you do in a day are going to be things that support bigger things. So maybe you have 1, 2, 3 big things you're working on right now. Like I know one of them is leadership from the heart, but we keep putting it on the back burner. And so maybe you commit to, all right, you've got 15 slots to really devote your energy to, because you got 3 items a day. And maybe, depending on how your consulting schedule is, you can commit a certain amount of time to those tasks each day. So to our group, maybe you want to talk about or turn into the group on a weekly basis, report back the places where you took meaningful action. And just tell us how it went. Let's just play with this, Steve, because I want to see kind of where you trip over the next 7 days. Okay. And we'll know what to do next when you come back to us after 7 days of this. So just make sure you're writing down, like, big picture, what are your 2 or 3 big projects you're working on in the next 7 days? And then, like you said, 2 or 3 tasks that support, which action-oriented steps that support getting that done. So most of the time, that's not going to involve reading or researching. It's going to involve typing or speaking or publishing or doing. So we're more action-oriented when we're trying to actually tick stuff off the list, which is something I'm working on too. Steve knows because I just bought a course on it. Okay.
I'm clear.
So you're going to be writing down your action-oriented tasks for the days and umbrella for the week. Okay, awesome. Who wants to go next? Brooke does. Okay.
I think the area that I feel most out of control, well, there's a few, but to pin it down to something simple, my routine, and that includes self-care and housework and parenting. I think it all kind of groups together, because when I'm not on top of everything that I want to be, I don't feel good about myself. So I need to start at the bottom and work my way up, I guess.
Right.
And even the simplest thing of not pushing snooze in the morning, and getting up when I want to get up instead of talking myself out of it. So
I think not pushing snooze would be an awesome goal for the next 7 days.
yeah.
For the next 6 weeks, bigger picture, you talked about a lot of things. We can't do all that in 6 weeks.
I know, I'm a mess.
So we all are. Everybody else just kept the rest behind them and didn't share it. So. Okay, so you said you want to have more routines in place that serve you, and that you want to do better in self-care, housework, and parenting. And in the next 6 weeks, knowing you as well as I do, I'm going to suggest that you focus on a component of self-care, because like what Chris was saying at the beginning, you know, and we've all heard this, like if you guys are like me, you've heard this expression many times, and until like a year or so ago, maybe like 2 years ago, I just didn't get it. It was just like cliche to me. That expression that you have to put your own oxygen mask on before assisting others. Until like a year ago, I remember every time I'd be on an airplane with my kids, I would think, fuck that. My kid's getting the oxygen, man. No way. You can't do that. In a crisis situation, if you have not cared for yourself, you are worthless to everyone else. And what's interesting is I had, that lesson was hard learned for me, because I did a terrible job of self-care during the most intense parts of my corporate career. And then when, the facade of what I thought I was doing fell away, and I realized how destructive my lifestyle was because I wasn't doing self-care. And I, like Tara said earlier, I wasn't necessarily having meaningful connectivity with other humans. The work I was doing, I wouldn't call like meaningful connection with other humans. It was, I just happened to excel at sales, and you know what I mean? So it was hard learned. Like I literally physically fell apart when I quit my job. I got influenza A within 2 weeks of quitting my job last October. And I was sick for over 30 days, like with physical, almost couldn't get out of bed, because I had done such a poor job in self-care that right at the time that intellectually I was finally like, I just can't do this anymore, my body was also like, no shit, you can't do that anymore, lady. And my body was like, if you're not going to rest, I'm going to make you rest. Because, I quit my job, and then my identity was threatened, like, oh, I'm not a winner anymore. So I was wanting to tackle some next big hurdle in life and prove myself awesome. But my body was like, lay down, hydrate, eat some vegetables, get some sleep, lady. And I learned from getting very, very sick that harsh reminder that I was useless. Like I quit my job so I could be present for my family. And the first month of my attempts to be present, I was so sick. I was like a pain in everyone's butt, I think. So I just wanted to share that, because I think that that's a great place to start when you feel like a lot of different things need improving.
Mm-hmm.
Start inside you, because that's where you have the most control. We don't control what our kids do and don't put on the furniture. But we can, you know what I mean? And Brooke has kids, so, you know, you can't control who does and doesn't flush. But you can control what you do and don't do for yourself. So I think that's a reasonable place to start. In the next 6 weeks, can you pick something measurable that you're willing to have the courage to take ownership of in the realm of self-care?
Honestly, taking a shower every day.
Okay. I love that. And P.S., I have that talk with myself on a regular basis. You skip today. You can't skip 2 days. I think it's a thing that working moms go through, but I could be wrong, Brooke. It might just be us. So I love that idea. Okay. So do you feel like that's a over the next 6 weeks thing that'd be really imperative for you to do that every day over the next 6 weeks? Or now I want to be clear about,
maybe,
you know,
just
if you hit like a 5 out of 7, you're winning.
Yeah. I'm honestly, I'm just looking 1 week at a time.
Okay. Right now, that's your comfort zone. Let's stay there. And in the next week, you have our Facebook group you can come into. This is your tribe. These are the people you can come in and visit with in our private. It's a secret group. No one can see that you guys are in it. So no one even knows you're in it. There is an extra, I think there's an extra person or two in there who are 2 people who are really dear to my heart that were kind of like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. And I don't know what they're doing. So if you guys don't care, I'll just leave them hang there so they can kind of see what the group is about. But if it bugs you, I'll just take them out. They'll live. Okay. So I love it, Brooke. The next 7 days, 5 out of 7 days, we are showering with shampoo.
Okay.
I'm so sweaty right now. Okay. I love it, babe. You can do it. Who's next? Crystal?
Okay. I'd say over the next 6 weeks, but maybe the next week, just putting time into me instead of everybody else. Because I haven't done that for honestly more years than I can count, and I hate to admit, but I've had some serious life changes in the last 2 years, and I've been so busy taking care of everybody else that I go to work and do my job. I come home and do what I need to do, and at the end of the day, I'm like, you didn't eat right, you didn't exercise, you didn't do anything for yourself. I have time, I just don't do it.
You put yourself last?
Absolutely.
Okay, so how does it feel, or what are some of the thoughts you have when you think about putting yourself first?
There's so much to do and so many people that need my help that I'm going to do something for everybody else that it's like I can take this time for someone else. I shouldn't be wasting my time on me.
Did you see my eyebrows go up?
I just saw your
How
face.
many wrinkles I have? You know why? Because it like hurt my heart to hear you say what you said, but I've said it. I have caught myself saying that. I'll do this and this, and I'll do my laundry last because it doesn't matter if it gets put away. It's just mine.
Right.
That is not a fact. That's a habit of thinking that I've, for some reason, have embedded, right?
Yeah.
And so there's probably places where you're saying things like that. In the next 7 days, and actually this is very challenging, so I want this to be the next 6 weeks, that you're practicing recognizing the thoughts, and I want you journaling those thoughts. So if that means you're texting them to me or you're coming into our group and being like, oh my gosh, my crazy brain just told me this bullshit thought. That's where you can tell it, because that's where we talk about this stuff. Where like, this is stuff people don't talk about, except for me when they walk into your office. When I walk into your office, we go deep fast. But most people don't like go from 0 to 60 and have intimate conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if we're here, we're really willing to put ourselves out here and really trust that we're with a support team. So I want you guys to just throw all in. For you, journal, all practice noticing the thoughts that want you to put yourself last, and write them down. And they're gonna be ridiculous.
I know they are. I've journaled.
I will warn you, I can't even believe some of the things I've caught myself thinking, and had to coach myself through reshaping these habits of thinking. And this is one of my favorite places to work in coach world, is helping people reshape habits of thinking and get more comfortable taking better care of themselves and get more comfortable putting themselves first, which is part of why Brooke is here too.
Yeah.
And so Brooke and I talk about that regularly. It's really a place I empathize with other people when they have had those habits of thinking like, it's okay. I still do it. I still catch myself and have to coach myself to stop it. Like I'll make a plate for everybody at the table, and I'll stand there and watch while they eat. And I'm like, oh, I should sit and eat too.
Yeah.
Guess what? That's a great lesson in the fact that nobody can take care of you better than you can. Nobody else at my kitchen table is going to go, honey, can I get you a plate? That's just where I live. That's the circumstance in which I live, and I'm not necessarily able to change that. Now, I have a loving husband. If I asked him, he would change his behavior. But that's not the point. The point is the circumstance remains. I love serving. I love to serve my husband. I love to serve my kids. And then I forget to serve myself. So it's a habit of thinking I need to remember. And so sometimes I go the polar opposite, like I'll cook food and then I'll sit down and eat, and I'll like have a great time eating by myself because I'm eating in peace and quiet. It's hot. No one's interrupting me. No one's asking me for a glass of milk. It's mine, and I can really enjoy it and be mindful and in that moment, but it's a behavior we just have to practice. That noticing the habits of thinking that want us to believe we should put everything else first.
Right.
Your dog is so cute, by the way.
Oh, my dog, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, he has to be sitting on me or laying on me if
He's
can't.
super cute.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Raleigh.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so you're going to journal thoughts that want you to put yourself not first.
Okay.
And we're going to break some of those thoughts apart. And a big part of the work we were going to do in this class anyway was on reshaping thoughts. So you're just going to bring a lot of awesome examples for us to practice reshaping.
Oh, I'm going to bring some examples because, I mean, it's like I told you, my engagement ended. And I've had more family members go, why didn't you say anything? Why haven't you let us be there for you? And so it's like, well, why? I can take care of it myself. And so it makes sense.
I can't wait until we really dig into this next week and I get to hear more about that.
Okay.
She's like, I can. Okay. Practice journaling your thoughts this week. Check in. You guys, I'm not going to make you check in every day in the Facebook group, but I will be there every day. So if you guys, hey, my accountability item is this, and today I this, like, I want to hear it, and we should all be giving each other kudos because behavior change is hard.
Yeah. Now,
Tara has set her phone down, and I don't know if she's doing other things or...
I'm here.
Hey!
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm trying to find stuff. I'm packing for my daughter. We got to leave at 4 a.m, so I'm trying to pack. But I'm listening to everybody, and
Do you
it's
want
everything that,
to share so that everybody understands why they can't see your face? I think that if you're okay with that, Tara.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just, my daughter's leaving for Montana Youth Challenge in the morning. So right now I'm trying to pack and get everything ready for her. We got to leave at 4 in the morning to get up there on time. So I'm kind of like last minute kind of gathering things and making sure that we're ready to hit the road in the morning. And I'm missing my dad's call because he's going to go with us. So he's been calling and calling while we're on this call
Oh
to try
no.
and figure out.
We are almost done, Sissy.
Good.
The last thing
So,
I wanted to hear from you, Tara, is do you have an area where you feel out of control that you want to take ownership of in the next 6 weeks?
yeah, I'm like, as I was listening to everybody share, like, you know, their struggles in their areas, that certainly, I can certainly resonates with me. My biggest thing that I've really wanted to like work on for the last couple of years, I've struggled with it forever, is really being like time management overall. Um, and what I think Brooke was sharing about doing things for other people, and putting yourself last, I definitely relate to that. But mine is really being punctual. Like I am habitually late, and yeah, I really, really struggle with that. But I have so much guilt and shame even when I am late for things, even though I try not to be late. Um, and so that's one thing that I really do want to work on and change, and so that I am more punctual and that I am punctual and just change that habit. And I really do need that accountability piece of it. As much as I've like kind of tried to like kind of work on that myself, I always end up falling back into the habit of like, well, why? I know I can kind of slide by and be 15 minutes late for work, even though I have a lot of guilt and shame about it. You know, like I just kind of like keep kind of going back into that habit of just kind of, you know, getting distracted easy with things, being late. And so I think also too for me, like being on time, arriving early in the morning, getting up, like not hitting my snooze button in the morning would also help me to just manage my time better. Because then when I'm late to work, then I also will stay a little bit later in the evening, and then I work a second job. So then that makes like, then I have flexibility with that. But I can start to, it just starts to, you know, back up my whole entire day, and then spending time with my kids and, you know, the ripple effect. And so it's just been this ongoing cycle that I want to break, and I'm choosing to break. And so I really do see the benefit too of that accountability of you guys, you know, of really having to be accountable to you guys, taking that responsibility and ownership of it, and having to report, and also having to have that, you know, the documentation piece of it, and really paying attention to like, why is it that, like, what keeps me in this habit so that I can really break it.
So, Tara, thank you for sharing all of that. And as I listened, first of all, I related to that struggle. I used to have that problem. I no longer do. I tackled it last year. It took me about a year of really, really working on it to get really good at it. And it wasn't like change in the punctuality zone happened overnight. I also was a person with massive guilt and shame around not being on time. I would have this like waterfall of horrific thoughts about how I had let all these people down and what a loser I was, and I couldn't even get my ass to work on time and blah, blah, blah. And like self-esteem in the gutter because I'd had these conversations with myself simply for being a few minutes late. So the bottom line is I recognized that being late made me feel horrible, like physically horrible. The thoughts that I would have when I was late or was about to be late would make my body feel so bad that I just got to the point where I couldn't handle it. And so I finally was like, I have to coach myself through, first of all, the thoughts I'm having about myself because I'm late. And would other people have those same thoughts about me? Probably not, you know. What a world-class piece of crap, 5 minutes late for the accountant. Anyway, so first of all, you know, would other people have the same level of intensity of judgment in their thoughts about you? Probably not. So that's helpful to kind of think of. But also I want to look at a cause. And I recognized a pattern that I once had in with the story that you told, Tara, and it was that so much of your life, which is mine too, has some flexibility to it. As a business consultant and a coach, I can shift my schedule around a lot. And that means writing something for somebody, or, you know, turning something into Steve when I'm supposed to. I can go, well, I can do that later, or, well, I can move that over to here. But what's interesting is if we're doing a lot of shuffling, it's probably because two things are happening. Either or, I can't talk. We might be overcommitting, saying yes to too many things, maybe because we're too nice, maybe because we're too ambitious and have unrealistically high expectations for what we can actually achieve. So we may be overcommitting, and that may be causing us to be late. We also may be putting ourselves last because we have a flexible schedule. And so I'm going to be hypothetical, but you know, maybe I need to go to the post office, and the only person affected if I don't go is me and my internet bill. And so I maybe put that last to get everything else on my calendar done. And then it's 10 o'clock at night and I still don't have the post office done, and the post office is closed. That stuff kind of trickles into the next day. And so if you're having that trickling effect where you keep having these repeated incidents of what sounds like maybe having too much on your schedule, we don't know yet. And, you know, so maybe let's look at over the next 7 days. First of all, the next 6 weeks sounds like we're going to focus on becoming a punctual person. And I think, based on my own experience, that's going to take 6 weeks. It took me like a year, but I didn't work on it intensely for 6 weeks straight. So I think you can rock this in 6 weeks. So for the next 7 days, Tara, please just practice noticing if you're putting things on your calendar that you don't actually want to do, that you're doing because society or the world thinks you should, or because if you don't do it, it won't get done, or you feel some sense of obligation. So what's getting on your calendar that you don't actually want to be doing? What and who are you saying yes to that you should actually be saying no to?
Well, I think I can already answer that question, and I probably shouldn't answer that question right now because people are around me. Yeah.
So,
and those are the things that I can't really say no to, you know.
So we can chit chat about that in the Facebook group during or we can private message about it. Because I know we're coming up on the end of the class, guys. We've got just a last 15 minutes to visit, ask questions, and kind of frame ourselves for what we'll be doing over the next 7 days and the next week. But Tara, I want you to explore, like I said, what things are we saying yes to? I'd like to kind of look at the thoughts you're having when you're saying yes to things, because I already heard you say, I don't have a choice, and I'd be interested in exploring that. Because I think there's a lot more to that. So probably worthwhile for, if you're willing to share more about that next week with the group, us to kind of break out some of those thoughts.
Yeah, well, I can share it too. It's just, you know, I cannot be as candid right now. My kids just got home. But just some of that comes with, you know, being a mom and being, you know, having mom responsibilities of, you know, having to take kids to appointments and things. can't really say no to those. So
you're right. We can't say no, but we can impart structure that makes it possible for us to never or almost never overcommit to the point where we're missing or late for appointments. So there are going to be times like, yeah, I got to take my kid to the eye doctor, but I also have the power and autonomy as an adult to make the decision about whether I'm going to let them tell me, well, you can come, but we only have an opening at 2:00, so I got to pull my kid out of school and wreck my whole day.
Right.
Or I can
Right.
wait.
I don't really think that's my issue though, Kim. Like, because I'm pretty good, like, time management wise there throughout the day of my appointment times and selective, like, and with that, and I can tell people no, and I can, like, empower my kids to go and do things. It's more about just, like, getting up in the morning and getting to work. Like, that's, like, my kind of my struggle throughout the day. Like, and then if I don't make it to work in time, then, like, the rest of my day is just late throughout the day. And
Yeah.
then
It's like
and
when
then I
a
don't get to
doctor's first
bed.
patient is late.
Yeah. Yep. And then the rest of my day is just late. And then I don't get to bed till like 11 o'clock at night. And so, like, the thing specifically that I want to get and do is I specifically want to get up in the morning, like by 5:30, and I want to be able to get to work on time. And then I want to be able to get to bed. It's not so much my schedule and those things, because I can, like,
Okay,
I feel pretty good and confident about my schedule. The
good.
mom things I can't say no to. Those are just mom things, but I can also be flexible in those, in scheduling appointments and stuff. And I know when I can say, nope, I can't do that. And I
Good.
know when I'm working 2 jobs of what I can fit in my day. It's just more of what I'm doing in the morning, like, and really being responsible and accountable for that. And that's my real struggle in the morning.
How
But
do
I
you
can,
typically spend mornings, Tara?
I hit snooze probably about like 5 times. Like, I can, like I'll, like, start trying to wake up like at 5:30, and then, like, I'll try and get up, but it's like I don't get up out of bed till like 6, and then I'm like, oh, I can hurry up. But then, like, I sit down, have coffee, have breakfast, and then it's like 6:30, then it's kind of like up and rush, and I'll, like, then I get ready. But I still, like, no matter how much, even if I get there's some days I'm up at 5 and getting ready, but I'm still, like, it's habitually like 8:15 that I get into work, and there's no reason for it. None, except that I'm just taking my sweet time, or I'm distracted in the morning, not even doing anything for anyone else. It's just like there's little things around the house, or there, just little things come up in the morning, and so that's, like, really what I need to really focus on. It's not even my schedule through the day, it's my
Okay.
morning routine.
So in the next 7 days, and we can reshape this later, but in the next 7 days, I'm less interested in seeing you wake up earlier and more interested in hearing the thoughts that are telling you to turn off the alarm, or the thoughts that are permitting you to do one more thing before you leave the house. Example, like you're walking
Okay.
out and you're going to be on time, and then you realize the garbage truck is going to come and you didn't pull the garbage to the curb.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's totally one of those times when you're like, oh my gosh, but the garbage guy won't come until 7 days from now, and it's going to stink, and I should take it out, but then I'll be late, and then you have to choose. So I'm really interested in hearing you just start noticing the thoughts that are wanting you to do one more thing before you get to work on time. And then set a hard time by which, no matter what, come hell or high water, you are driving away from your house.
Okay.
And so let me ask you, because I think you can do that now. And by the way, you can say that and then totally screw it up, and all of us will still love you. So what would be the time that you would need to leave your house in order to get to work 5 minutes early?
7:45.
Okay. So it sounds like if you get up at 6, you can be out the door by 7:45, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just set the alarm for 6. Commit to getting up the first time if you feel like you're comfortable committing to that. And like I say, if you can just get to around 5 out of 7 on that, you're winning. So for the next 7 days, up at 6, hard stop. I'm driving away from my house at 7:45. If you have to be driving away at 7:45, you have to be like ready to leave your house at 7:40, right? Because you gotta like get the key, get in the car, la la la.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to practice managing the thoughts that come between 6 a.m. and 7:45 that try to get you to do other things besides be punctual. And when they come, you can say, I hear you, thought, but guess what? I am becoming a punctual person. So that garbage on the counter is going to have to wait, or that stack of laundry is going to have to wait, or cleaning the kitty litter is going to have to wait, or whatever it is that's pulling you away. That's going to have to wait because I am becoming a punctual person. And a punctual person would put that aside until this evening so that they could be on time for work, because that's kind of a big deal. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like it. Okay.
So, yay, you guys. Who'd have thought we had 90 minutes worth of stuff to talk about? Okay. So we did a lot of exploring today. I'm going to jump right into the Facebook group tomorrow and start checking in and asking for updates from you guys. Like I said, I'm there. I'll be there every day. If you want to check in there every day, I'm certainly don't want to say you must, but I think it will be helpful to you to get in there as much as you can for support. And anytime, PM me on Facebook is a really easy way to get me, or you can call or text me if you guys need to or want to visit about anything between now and then. So, Chris is journaling food. Brooke is not pushing the snooze button. We didn't know you're taking a shower 5 out of 7 days. Steve is 3 action-oriented tasks each day and reporting back to us on actually taking action. Crystal is noticing thoughts that want her to put herself last, and we're going to work on those, come back to us with those. They're going to be nitty-gritty and dirty, and it'll sound like somebody other than you thought them. And we'll work through them all and kind of talk about how to replace those with things that are in better service to you. And Tara, mornings, we just went through yours. Getting up at 6, out the door by 7:45, which means ready to be out the door by 7:40, and putting anything aside that wants to tempt you to do other things before you get out the door on time, because I am Tara and I am becoming a punctual person. Cool?
Awesome. Yep.
Okay. You guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm trying to unmute you in case you have anything to say. Everybody. Okay. Are you excited? Are you ready?
That'll be a challenge.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I know that I really need to. I wasn't planning. I didn't actually commit to this, but I'm going to food journal. I'm going to food journal with those of you who are food journaling, because it is an area where I need to pay more attention. So, like I did a really good job for a while there, and then my parents came to visit and we ate like kings and queens, and then Thanksgiving and Christmas happened and I gained 10 pounds. So I'm ready to journal. So that'll be the thing I do in the next 7 days. Okay,
Well, nice meeting everybody. See you all next week.
Good to meet you.
Yeah.
Thank
Great
you.
to meet you guys.
Enjoy the week.
Thanks.
You guys
Bye.
too.
Take care now. Bye, everybody.
Yep. Bye, guys.